All right, this is the support video for Series 2. And so let's look at the specs real quickly. You're going to do 5 compositions, select a different director from the Series 1. The focus is on exploration of type at 45-degree axis alignments only. Okay, now I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But only type, black, white, gray, transparency. You might consider creating all new compositions. Alternatively, you can use your solutions from Series 1 and revise them appropriately. So it's up to you. New compositions give you a fresh look on things, so I might suggest going that route. Okay, you're doing 5 different final layouts. Okay, I don't want to see 5 variations on one theme. Okay, 45-degree axis. Explore the variability of those alignments on 45-degree axis using 90-degree alignments only. Remember that you're emphasizing a different section of the copy. So if you emphasize the director first, then you want to do the film director series next. And I also want to emphasize also that you have emphasis within the body text. Okay, you can use pull quotes, whatever you want. Okay. Your variables are only one type family, just like in Series 1. You get a type family, so that means any font face within that family is fair game. So if you pick something like Gill Sans with a huge family, or something like Universe with a huge family, you have a lot of options. Okay, 3 font sizes, weights, and styles. That gives you a total of 9. Okay, because you can have a bold, you can have a 24 point, and you can have an italic, and those are 3 possibilities. And then you might have a bold and a 24 point and a regular, right? So, and you might have a medium, and you might have a 24 point and a italic or whatever. So you have a lot of options here just within the whole family and the different sizes and weights. Okay. If you use a really large typeface, font size, I should say, you do not, that does not count as one of your font sizes. Okay. So you do something that's really, dramatic. That's not one of the 3 sizes. Okay. Again, continue to explore the relative hierarchy, and that's what we're really focusing on in this first 2 series is the hierarchy, right? So make sure your dominant is dominant. Make sure the things that you want to have important are at the next level, and the things that are, less important or de-emphasized are the smallest. Again, multiple studies. Okay, certainly you're going to be pulling 5 finals, but that doesn't mean I only want you to do 5. Okay, same thing, 8.5 by 8.5 inch square, 7 by 7 inch margin with a 1 pixel black rule. Don't forget that. A lot of people are forgetting that black rule, and that gives you a 3/4 inch margin. Save it at 150 pixels per inch in case you ever do want to print it. You're in good shape. And then, okay. So that's basically the specs. This is all in the lecture notes, so you can review those. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, I don't know what I just did there, but all right, let's pull that back. All right, so, all right, let's take a look at some studies here. So here's one version of a theme, right? So, even though this person has picked, San Diego film directors, trying to pick up the copy. So it's a good series of studies. Think about what you want to have as your dominant elements. Is San Diego that important? Considering your target market and the environment I set up in terms of being down in Hillcrest or whatever, those are the kinds of things you want to think about. This is a local show with local people, and so those are the kinds of things you want to think about. All right. So here, pulling up a little bit of body text from the body copy as a little bit of an emphasis. Um, okay, so there's some variations, and these are good variations. They don't take long to do. That's the thing. I mean, everyone's sort of settling in on one thing, and they don't explore the options. And just these few variations make a big difference, right? So just make sure you follow through on those studies. Okay, here's another one. And the 45-degree axis, doesn't mean the text has to be at 45 degrees. Even using an alignment and then using the text horizontally, but with a 45-degree, margin, that's fine. Now, some people choose to not follow the specs specifically. The specs are there, like these, for example, didn't, but this is exactly following the specs. Okay, and then now not so much. Now, when I say the specs, I want you to follow the specs because they're there for a reason. They're there to help you keep things under control. Now, if you choose to deviate from the specs like this, you need to be making good design decisions, because if you've got angles going in every which direction and then things that are straight and it's all a mess, I'm going to tell you to go back and follow the specs. They're there for a reason. But if you choose to bend the rules, you're on your own. And like I said, you better be making good decisions. Okay, so like this is a nice, I think, following the specs exactly. I think this really does a nice job of that. This one, variation on a theme, I'm good with it, You're following the specs again very, very specifically. So I'm good with all of these in terms of that option here. I feel these are really nicely done, especially this one, just in terms of the use of space and the perimeter around the outside and how the negative space flows all the way around and even a little bit through. Now, people have asked me, what about the type size? And remember that this is digital. So this size, 8 by 8, it's actually kind of arbitrary. I picked that originally for the print part of the project, so people didn't have to have this huge document. But in reality, a poster wouldn't be that small. So what's important is the size of the text within the format, not the size of the text itself. So if this ends up being 8 point, I'm fine with that, because if it got bigger, it ended up being 14 or 18 point if you enlarge that 4 times. So, keep those kinds of things in mind, all right? It's more important about what's in the format, not the actual size, okay? And especially when you show these digitally on a big screen in a presentation, they're going to look great, okay? So here another nice design. Here a little bit kind of goofy. Here I'd be like, this is starting to get a little silly. I mean, I get the idea of the angles pointing towards this, but it's not, it's okay. But again, as a study, these are fine. You're going to end up picking 5 of your best, and then if these don't make the cut, that's fine. So if you're, messing around and you do a lot of different studies, you're going to end up with 5 really solid designs. If you only go for 5 and that's one of them, it's going to be kind of goofy, right? So just make sure if you're doing your studies, make sure that you follow the specs at least, and then if you want to do variations, I'm fine. Now, here's a situation where they're breaking away from the font, from the typeface family, okay, and picking up a different typeface for the title. Now, how do I feel about that? It's one of those things where, again, if it works, I'm not going to get crazy about it. But if it looks silly, or if it starts to get crazy, like this looks kind of goofy, and that's one of your 5, I'll be like, nah, not working for me. Go back to the specs, okay? Now, something else I want to talk about here was a situation like this, where this actually ends up being the dominant element. I'm fine with these kinds of things, and I want you to explore that. That was one of the reasons we went through Project 4, where we were exploring the message and exploring hierarchy and all that stuff. The whole purpose of that exercise was to get you to look at text as more than just a box of text, and to kind of explore the idea of hierarchy even within the body text. So if bold is one of your styles, You can use bold anywhere you want. It doesn't matter at what size it is. So you can find bold words in here. You can use italic. You can open up the spacing around something. So there's a lot of different ways that you can handle this content. Okay, so that's kind of the overview of this part of the project and some of the ideas behind the specs. So the most important thing is to have fun, explore this stuff, and really get into the layout. It's a good time. All right, so have fun.